意思，我们这些比较拥挤一点，来。
介绍一下那个今天来观课的学者，好不好？好，给他点个掌声。先介绍一下那个国立台湾艺术大学中国音乐学系的陈俊宪教授。还有我们附近的高雄医学大学护理系的林世军林教授。商业大学资管系的常州正堂教授。大学财务金融系的张志雄张教授。南华大学生史学系的陈真颖陈教授。那就看各位表现了哈。那我就把时间交给我们的老师哈。还有谢谢啊 ，OK，thank you。还有那个杨老师，我们舞蹈团的杨老师哈。
All right, so everybody, students, can I have your attention, please? Eyes up here, please. Eyes up here. So as you notice, we have a lot of special guests today. So it's important that we're off of our cell phones during this class, all right? So if possible, put that cell phone away and try to give us teachers as much attention as you can, all right? That will be much appreciated. Go ahead.
Anyone? You probably all seen this painting before, right? Do you know the name of this painting? Who's this very, very famous lady?
The name of this picture is, Andy? What's the name of this picture? And Thomas, where can we find this picture?
In France.
In what special place in France?
Louvre Museum.
Okay. Anyone have any idea? You probably also seen this painting before. The creation of atoms. So, and how about it? To be or not to be? This is still a question. Almost close. Very good. That's here. How will they look? Okay, so there's one thing common between the three artists. What's the common thing between them? They were all living in the Renaissance. So this is a period of folk magic. Then today we're going to, because this firstly we talk about Renaissance period. Last 2 weeks we talk about medieval music, right? Then so we're going to cover 5 things today. So at the beginning I'm going to give you a quick recap to just summarize all of history we're going to talk about in the class. Then teacher Danny will give us a presentation on the historical background of the Renaissance origin. Then we'll cover some musical stuff. So first of all, I should use one thing. Okay, so in chapter 1, when we talk about the original music, 音乐的起源. Remember we talked about ancient Greece? At that time, we say ancient Greek, they established a foundation of humanism and classicism. 人本主义就是古希腊那个时候呢，他们的重点是以人为主 ，for instance, democracy 就是民主的制度 ，OK， 它是以人为本 ，or all this famous philosopher Aristotle, 亚里士多德或是 Plato， 他们都是以人为本。古典主义是一种 aesthetics viewpoint， 是一种审美的观感。就是呢 ，you can see it's very proportional, beautiful body, beautiful architecture. So it's all very like well proportioned and most likely very symmetrical， 是很对称的。所以这个是 those are the foundation of the Western civilization. Then we talk about at the end of the Roman Empire. Anyone remember who issued a very important document? There was a Roman emperor who
issued the document about what religion was allowed now. Do we remember this? Maybe we don't know the name of the document, but what religion was allowed now? Allowed to be worshipped? Milton, have you any clue? Yeah.
Very good.
Right, right.
Christianity in general, all the religions they believe Jesus Christ is a God that we generally refer to Christianity. Although we also talk about during that time, 就是在马丁路德新教改革之前 there's really no difference between 天主教跟基督教. That's the Chinese translation. So in general, just this refers to all like the Christian entity that believe Jesus Christ is the Savior. Okay, because of the rise of Christianity, then throughout the entire Middle Ages, between the 5th and the 14th century to the 14th century, the Roman Catholic Church, originally founded by Roman people, they remained the most powerful authority of the society, and therefore church music was a very important tool to, let's say, control the society. Remember, we mentioned at that time, most people like us, say we are not numb, we don't actually know how to read or write. Okay. Then, today we're getting into Renaissance. So first of all, let's talk about the meaning of this word. In French, Renaissance means rebirth. Rebirth means first. What's the Renaissance? And how about with re plus first?
Exactly. So, Milton, if you didn't know the name of this, maybe we also don't, all right? Christianity. This is called the worship of Jesus Christ. So everybody, let's say together, Christianity.
Christianity.
Right, and we're talking about the Renaissance time. Ready? Renaissance.
Renaissance.
Good. So what's this word up here?
Christianity.
Right, and this one?
Renaissance.
All right, awesome.
Thank you. So the question refers of what? Now, before we figure out the answer, Miss Danny is going, oops, sorry. When they give us a, he doesn't listen to me. It's introduction of the historical background.
Yeah, sure. All right, so teacher Chutong was talking about the rebirth of what, right? Think about the rebirth of an interest in the truth, an interest in the arts, and an interest in the sciences. So when you think of the Renaissance period, think about the period between the medieval times and right now. We're going to look at two different aspects. Everybody say socio-economics.
Socio-economics.
Economics talking about money, socio is talking about society. So these two things, right, are very, very interwoven, all right? Now, the Black Death. Imagine right now, 50% of the population dies, okay? They're in their bed, they're growing sores on their body, they're dead, okay? So 50% of the population dies from a disease. I want everybody to think about how that would change the world right now, okay? You wake up tomorrow, 50% of the people are dead. Take a minute, chat with your table, and then I'm going to ask you, what would happen if 50% of the population died, okay? Yes, talk in your groups. Talk in your groups.
Because I'm the Jesus. What? I'm so sorry. I will be very rich. I will more resources.
All right, everybody, have your attention back up here. That was a fast minute, okay? A fast minute. Son, let me ask you, what would happen? There's no bad answer. We just want your ideas right now.
There will be more living spaces.
There will be more places to move around and live in, right? More places to move around. Good answer. Eric? Yes.
think it's for like balance.
Balance of what?
Because the population is
Lower.
lower, so I think the food we need is lower and the producer is lower. So I think it's better.
Okay, so you think everything would just balance out. All right, good opinion. And could I have your answer, please? Many companies might shut down because they couldn't find anyone to work. All right, very good. So when we talk about the decline of population, we're going to talk about people who were at one time like slaves, all right? They lived on a piece of land, but they didn't really own that piece of land. The landowners could tell them, do this, do this, do this, and they didn't have any say. But now all of a sudden, there aren't a lot of people. So their work becomes more valuable. So now people can start charging more money for the work that they do. This is one of the key points in socioeconomic change after the Black Death. Also, development of machinery. Now, at this time, people may have been using water wheels to grind different kinds of grains, but because there were so many less people to work, they had to develop technology to take care of the jobs with less people. Also, like we mentioned with the financial cities, more people could have more power over their labor because they were in demand. So people were moving to cities, going around to different places, getting new jobs, discovering new passions and new trades. All of this stuff was centered in Florence, Italy. And this family right here, M-E-D-I-C-I, who can try to read that one for me? Jason, would you like to try? What's this family name? Medici. Right, the Medici family, exactly. This was a very powerful family of bankers that invested a lot of money into the arts. Like which artists were we talking about?
For instance, Da Vinci, the painter of the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci, and he was sponsored by the Medici family, and also Michelangelo. 就是米开朗基罗 he actually lived for 5 years with this family.
Right, so you can
and
see
many others.
This family had a very big role in this revival, in this rebirth. Okay, so that's socioeconomic. Now let's talk about the culture. Teacher Chitong was talking about the Byzantine Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire. Now, what happened was, yeah, that's okay. All right, we can go to this one.
I was thinking,
yeah, so
yeah, let's try not to move things around.
Okay, sure.
Please go ahead, sorry.
So after the fall of the Byzantine Empire, a lot of the Greeks that were studying Greek philosophy at the time, they moved locations, like Sun was talking about. They left and they went to Italy, and they were part of this revival, more interested in Greek philosophy, the Greek way of life.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not quite familiar with this equipment, but
That's
then,
okay.
so, Teacher Daniel was talking about the Byzantine Empire was actually in 1453. Remember I'm showing you guys a chart with all those, with like historical timeline? It's somewhere here. Okay, so we have been focusing on here after the end of Western Roman Empire. Now the Eastern Roman Empire, which is Byzantine Empire, was then ended by Turks, Turkish, in 1453. Then that caused, Teacher Danny mentioned that a lot of people flee from Byzantine to Italy because earlier, inside Byzantine Empire, this part used to be Greeks. There's a lot of Greek people that are living. They were living there. Then, when Turks found the Ottoman Empire, then those people then flee to Italy and then bring in Greek manuscripts.
Right, great. So, another part of science that moved on was we went from this geocentrism model to the heliocentrism model. Another couple new words for you, okay? Geocentrism, ready?
Geocentrism.
Heliocentrism.
Heliocentrism.
All right, take a look at these two pictures and see if you can just think for yourself. What does geocentrism mean in your words? And what does heliocentrism mean? What does geocentrism mean? The sky moves, right. The sky moves around what? Right. So let's say everything moves around the earth, right? That would be geocentrism. And how about what does heliocentrism mean? Right, the earth moves around the sun, right? Exactly.
Sorry, I actually went a little too fast, but then I'm back. So earlier, Teacher Danny explained to us, oh, there are 2%. Then the result is, in our book, we mentioned this is the period when the secularization begins. Right? Earlier we focused on church, and now that because people are we're getting more wealthy, so the society is starting to become more secularized. Secular 就是世俗化，世俗的意思。And then as well we saw a decline of church influence. So now then this was one of the evidence that when Teacher Danny explained, oh, because earlier church said, okay, God created humans, of course earth should be the center of the universe. But now more and more people, they believe the fact that this is a scientific fact, that whether God's one or not, then we are not the center of the universe. And then our textbook also mentioned this is a period with a lot of intellectual people in the development. This is all still from Da Vinci, and he was not only a painter, but he was also a great designer for many other things. For instance, he designed weapons, and he also designed instruments. So this is one of the instruments. Let's listen to one. And remember hurdy-gurdy I showed you last week? That really strength. This is actually a gigantic hurdy-gurdy. So there are wheels turning inside, and he is using paddle to turn the bowl to rock the string to make a sound. So this is Da Vinci's design. He never actually built out this instrument, but then some people find his manuscript. Now, 发现这个Da Vinci的手稿， then reveal this instrument. Okay, so let's move on. Then, of course, there are a lot of like these paintings by Michelangelo. It's also by Michelangelo. Michelangelo again, he wasn't just a painter, he was a sculptor as well. And Michelangelo again, he's the architect for the St. Peter Basilica in Vatican. Wait, so after having a little understanding about historical background, let's move on to the musical aspects. So there are two things I would like to share with you. First of all, let's listen to the difference between, this is the early medieval music we talk about. You have seen this the other week. Then during the middle of the medieval, the music started to move from one line, monophony, to multiple line, polyphony. And this style continued throughout the Renaissance and remained important as an important compositional method in Renaissance. However, they sound quite different. I'm going to show you two examples, and you tell me which one sounds better. Okay? So one is on Renaissance, one is on medieval. And you tell me which one sounds supposedly closer to what you example one. Okay, this is needs to listen a little bit. That's it. Now how about how can I screw this on? Have one in common.
comments?
Yeah. Anyone?
Let's use this side.
Oh, here we go. So, oh, no.
Okay.
But let's hear from you. This is the second example. Okay, let's just listen to the beginning of this sentence. So, which one sounds prettier for you? Number one, raise your hand if you think number one sounds better.
So which one sounds prettier? Which one sounds more advanced, more emotional?
And raise your hand if you think number two sounds prettier. Now, before you have modern years. Because the first example was from the Renaissance, probably just 100 years before from medieval, 100 years before the Renaissance. The second composition was the most famous music in the Renaissance. So the biggest difference, there are of course a lot of difference, but I'm going to show you one difference that caused the difference. A big sound difference, the difference in sonority, which is called interval. We talked about this word earlier, which means, anyone remember what does interval mean? It's a what between note.
Interval is, Thomas, I'm going to ask you because I know you're a piano player. What does interval mean? If you had to explain it to us, what would you say?
看一下中文，中文 give you a clue. 旅程，路程。
每一个小节吗？
Well, interval simply means the distance between two notes. That's it. Very simple. So earlier, then I better just show you next. So I realized that this keyboard doesn't. So from here, 1, 2, 3. Then it's an interval third. Okay. Then other one 1. Then on the other hand 2, 3, 4. Something delayed here. So that was the interval fourth. Now I'm going to show you the biggest difference is here's a medieval music that prefer the sound of interval 4 and the interval fifth. So it will sound like this. Hope it's loud enough. What happened to make them sound? It doesn't sound together in here, but then I know it sounds together here. Okay, so second time let's move on, and when it works, I will show you. Okay, so the biggest difference is then the use of interval, the character of the interval during the Renaissance is no longer the same with the medieval composer.
Right, which falls in line with everything else, right? The way people get paid is no longer the same. The way people move around is no longer the same. Everything is changing, and of course the music is going to change alongside with it.
Sorry, I realized that this tablet gets connected in our room, but not here. That's why. Okay, anyway, then since this keyboard on the screen doesn't allow me to play two notes at the same time, but imagine if I move with interval 4, 1, 2. Okay, this doesn't, I have to play together, so that this is an example. But then during the Renaissance, people used to use interval third, which sounds closer to the modern sound. That's why the second example sounds prettier, because that's closer to the everyday music we used to listen to. Okay, then, now, we're going to look into the most famous piece by the highest paid composer, and then in that context, I will explain to you a few more important developments in the music, Renaissance music. So you see, those are the composer, famous composer in the Middle Ages. You know one thing in common, they all work for church, right? Then this is a monk, and this is a monk.
Yeah, so monks are the men, and then nuns are the women.
Then this guy, he's the highest paid composer during his time. I'm not a monk anymore. And then Martin Luther, 这是马丁路德，我们知道他是什么？ and that was the year when the Renaissance began. He said Josquin is the master of the notes, laying the notes. The note has to do what he wants. Then in 1502, 在1502年的时候 the Duke in Ferrara, 费拉拉是意大利的一个城市。The Duke was looking for a church musician to work in the court. So somebody, how do we know he was the highest paid musician? Here are two historical accounts. Somebody recommended to the Lord in Ferrara, said, "Oh Lord, if you hire Josquin, and nobody can beat the chapel.
My Lord, I believe that there is neither Lord nor King who will now have a better chapel than yours if your Lordship sends Josquin." So he's basically explaining to the king, right? He's explaining that if you hire Josquin, if you pay him the highest salary, your chapel will be the best. Your church, your religion will be the best. So it's very compelling to the king.
Yeah. However, another one said, well, it's true that Josquin composed better, but he's asking 200 ducats in salary. Well, Isa was also a very famous composer during the same time. Will come only for 120, so that's a big difference, right? So ducats mean it's the gold coins in Venice. Keep in mind, during that time, Italy wasn't a united country yet. It didn't happen until 1861. So then different area of Italy, they use different currency. So, can we find out the value of 200 ducat per year? Because time is limited, I did it for you. So for now, each gold coin contains 3.5 grams of gold, and so each ducat approximately equal $150. 所以1块威尼斯新币是150，所以200块新币的话，就是大概是3万美元一年。However, now the $30,000 nowadays different from $30,000.
Right, it's not accounting for inflation, right?
Exactly. So let's just take a brief view. How much 30,000?
How much would $30,000 be in today's time? Let's take a guess. $30,000 back then. How much money now? Are we talking millions? 100,000? Does it say it up there?
Here, right here.
All right.
That's a lot.
1,112,490.36. So, what kind of people now make $1 million a year? NBA players, maybe. What ended?
Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon.
Oh yeah, owners of big companies make this money, right?
Yeah, so based on those historical accounts, we can know that exactly. Okay, then now let's look into the famous piece composed by the highest, the superstar composer. The name of the piece, Ave Maria, it's still a church music, but the style is quite different from the medieval church music style. How do we know that was a famous piece during that time? Because in 1501, that because of the invention of printing press, a German guy called Gutenberg, 古腾堡，他发明了印刷器。Then the printing press was invented approximately during 1450, and 50 years later, there was the first printed collection of motet. Motet is the name of the musical composition during that time. And Ave Maria was the first piece in this first printed collection, so that was quite significant. And just give you a quick idea, after the printing press was invented, then within 50 years after the printing press was invented, there was 9 million books was printed, so that was a lot. Then after 10 decades, by the end of 16th century, there was 200 million books was printed. So the invention of printing press, that was to make a huge gap in human.
So, Teacher Shutong, you're saying only 50 years of printing out
Yes,
this composition
result in
in
190, exactly.
And we remember the pictures that we saw of early compositions of church music, right? Remember the pictures that we saw? What were those compositions like? Were they just written on paper, or did they have any special characteristics? Hunter, do you remember? They had drawings and they were covered in something very valuable.
Gold leaf.
In gold, right? So this marks compositions being covered in drawings in gold to millions of them being printed.
So there was actually the printed version, a printed book collection of the music we're going to listen to, the printed manuscript of Ave Maria. So we're going to look into a few important characteristics. First of all, it's still a cappella, so it's in a style of chapel, church style. So then it's singing with no accompaniments. So 只有人声在唱，没有 no instrumental accompaniments. And then we're going to talk about various 课本里面有讲到一个模仿的技巧。And I'm going to show you what does 模仿 look like. I'm going to go through some points quickly. Then we're going to listen to the piece quickly, and I will point to and then it will report to you, oh, what's this about and that. So first of all, the imitation between voice. You can see the color part. This is the first voice, second, the third, the fourth voice. And you can see the material looks quite similar, right? So it's basically the similar material is repeated in 5 different voices, but they came in at a different time. So it sounds like all this later coming voice was imitating the first voice, and this third voice was imitating the sixth, and so they are kind of imitating each other. So there's how we're going to see how it sounds. And this is another example where you can see this group of music, this group of singers, they are singing the music that seem to be copying or imitating the first group. So each group contains 2 voices. Then here, not only composers are not only using the imitation between voice, they also use block of chord. So you can see here, it's like all the voices sing together. So you can imagine the sonority, the sound is going to be quite different. And I will point it out when we listen to the example. Okay? Then the next thing that becomes very, very important called word technique. Because the musical development before the Renaissance, as you heard, it sounds probably, the first example I showed you sounds quite a little bit weird, right? 那个我给你们听2个例子，第一个例子是听起来有点怪怪的 ，because they didn't really have the technique to reflect the meaning of the word at that time. But now, because the musical technique was, compositional technique was a lot more advanced, so composers are able to illustrate the meaning of the words. Okay, so this is the text of Ave Maria. Here we have the original in Latin. This is translation in English, and we have Chinese translation here. So later on, I will point out the words. Okay, so when we hear important word, we will hear the composer is doing some kind of special treatment for those special words. Then we will hear how. Okay, I think we will listen to the passage. Then I will let you hear the sound, but we will stay with the lyrics so you can hear the relationship.
So we're trying to notice how the music matches the meaning of the words.
Yep.
Because you wouldn't want to have a song that's happy, have a sad musical theme to it, right?
Good point. Alright, so this is the opening, and that happens to be a great example of voice imitation. So we're going to listen to the beginning. Okay. So this is the first voice. Then, so it's imitating the first voice. The third layer. Then again, the imitation continues. And here Looking for another imitation. Okay, then we have to listen to a new example of word painting now. Then I'm going to, I think you already have a little idea about what does the word painting mean. So we're going to stop here and I'm going to do the activity.
Okay, everyone. So we're going to stop here and start the activity. Just notice that we're talking about the words of the meaning of the words and matching our singing to show the emotion of the meaning of the words. All right. Main point here.
Okay, so I guess like when you listen to this music for the first time, it might not be very evident to your ear that how the composer reflect the meaning by means of music. But then basically when you say that something is word painting, that is the word saying something is rising, and then the composer will use a sensing motion. Yeah, so like rising or sound. For instance, if I say I like music, and I'm not going to say I like the music. And it doesn't sound clear at all, right? I'm going to say I like music, right? So you can hear the music convey the feeling of the word I like music. So now we got 6 examples. Now I'm going to give all this randomly, okay? And they contain one of the examples and you're going to
So again, if it's going up the mountain, sing lower and lower, higher and higher.
express the emotion of liking ice cream.
I guess that very
One thing, you can repeat any part of the fragment as you wish. For instance, if the earthquake, right? If you want to make the expression stronger, feel free to repeat any part because that's what the composer always said. Remember, we had the one word that is continue for a long time because that word is important.
Be creative.
就是去把那个就是它上面有你们要在它的时候要以用低来弹音，再低，这样。你不要只在你那个，你就是你们去其他地方的低的这个，所以可能你就想。
所以我那个是大概是这样的，可以那个你。
All right, all anticipating this. All right, everyone, may I have your attention, please? May I have your attention? Let's settle down. We've got about 4 minutes left, and we're requesting one person from each group, all right? One person from each group to present the working for us, all right? Do we have any groups that want to volunteer to be first? Okay. I feel like maybe ladies first, okay? Ladies first. All right, everybody, let's give this group our full attention, please. Go for it.
Tell us which example you're looking for. Number 4. That was an excellent example.
There you go, yeah.
That was a very good start.
Yes,
Can we, we have 2 people, can we?
Of course.
Sure.
Was terrified.
Can we hear that one more time, everyone? Let's get our full attention to this group.
That was very impressive, very effective.
All right, Thomas, choose the next group, please. And what number did you select? Son, what number did you select? Number 2. Number 2. I like eating ice cream. All right, quiet down, everyone. Let's give them our attention. Take a deep breath. It's okay.
I like ice cream.
So who's next? Who's next? Alright, which number did you choose? What number? Number 1. Climb up the mountain. Alright, everyone settle down. Gentlemen?
We climb up the mountain.
Well, perhaps it sounded like you were a little bit exhausted when you reached the mountain.
Right, it was a long Which number did they have? Number 6, the rising of the sun.
Okay, they want to sing together.
Three, 2, 1, go!
That's over today.